Hey YouTube, I wanted to share this video that I did for my clients last week. I did a training on the 5 traps that we're gonna fall back into the moment that this pandemic starts to open up the different states. And my intention is for you to realize that we can fall back into the victim mentality, that we have to avoid these 5 traps. And I want to put my text number right here. I want you to text me to this number and let me know what you think about this training, because I'm going to continue to do content like this to share with you some of the stuff that I'm sharing with my clients, because now is the time for us to lead. Now is not the time for us to retract and have fear. Now is the time for us to level up and go to the next level. So enjoy this video. Text me right here to this number on what you got from this training.
My name is Raul, and you're listening to the Daily Edge podcast. Learn the systems and the process that successful businessmen are using to take their lives and their business to the next level. Today's conversation is, who's the one that's stopping you from succeeding? And here's what you have to understand. The only person that stands in the way of your success is you. The only person that stands in the way of your success is you. You're the only one that's stopping you from growth. You're the only one that's stopping you from going to the next level. You're the only one that is sabotaging your growth. But see, that's the hardest truth that we have to believe. Because it's easy for us to believe that something else, there's some kind of force out there that's against us. Because most of us, we want to believe that there is forces out there that want us to fail. Most of us want to blame some other people. But the truth is that we're the only ones that's standing in our own way. See, it's easier to believe that the story that you're creating is the one of a victim. It is easier to believe that you don't want to take ownership. But see, we got to start taking ownership instead of sabotaging on growth. Because lack of responsibility is at an all-time high right now in our actions. If you look at the culture around us, most people are looking for someone to blame. There's lack of responsibility and lack of ownership, especially in a moment of crisis. Most people are saying, hey, I want to blame the president. I want to blame coronavirus. I want to blame China. I want to blame other people. And that's the moment that we start losing the battle. That's the moment that we start losing ourselves. See, in moments of crisis, people are going to work out of character. They're going to bend to the majority of the energy around. People are going to look for someone to blame in a moment of crisis because that is the popular thing to do. That's the easiest thing to do. That's the most common thing when it comes to chaos. Most people rally up and they huddle because they're in pain, and they think that blaming other people is the solution that they're going to be able to execute. And fear turns into hate in a moment's notice. That's the moment that the fear that we have, and right now most people are operating in fear, but it's just a matter of time that fear turns into hate, because the moment that you start blaming other people, then you start hating on other people. Then you start hating on the situation. Then you start looking at what's going on in the world, and you end up hating who you are. You end up hating your circumstances. You end up hating your life. And that's what I want to talk about today, is making sure that you don't fall into the traps of being a victim, because the victim mentality is incapable of finding a solution. The victim mentality is what's going to stop you from growing. The victim mentality is going to stop you from finding the gift. The victim mentality is going to stop you from going to the next level. And the only way to find the solution is to own your situation. To realize that right now, in this moment, you're the only one responsible to find a solution. Not the government, not the president, not anybody else. The only one that's responsible for your current situation is you. But the moment you take ownership, you actually also take the power of making choices. Because the moment you own it, you actually make a decision, a subconscious belief that you have the power to change it. You have the power to choose. You have the power to make things better. You have the power to execute. You have the power to create. So there's 5 traps that we're going to talk about today to avoid to fall into that victim mentality. Because that's exactly what we need to do every single day. We're walking around and we need to make sure that we don't fall into these traps. Because it's easy right now with everything that's going on for us to work our lives unconsciously, and all of a sudden we're trapped in to a situation. We're trapped into something that we thought we were not going to get into. But that's the moment that we have to start acting as leaders. We have to start looking at the steps that we're taking and asking ourselves, am I falling into the victim mentality, Or am I taking ownership of my situation? So here's the number one trap: comparing yourself to others. The moment that you're falling into this trap of comparing yourself to others, you're going to lose. Because the only one you should be competing with is you and the one who you were yesterday. That's it. That's the only competition that you have. You and the one who you were yesterday. Every single day, I look at who I was, I look at where I've been, and I'm creating a 1% advantage versus who I was yesterday. That's all I'm looking for. Can I be 1% better today than who I was yesterday? Yeah, my mind wants to compare myself to other people. I could look at social media. I could look at other influencers or other coaches or other entrepreneurs. And I said, fuck, they are where they are. Why is it I'm not there yet? Or I can compare myself to other people's success. But then there is zero upside on comparing myself to others. There's zero upside of trying to look at other people and trying to see why they're where they are. I have to take ownership of what I'm doing and ask myself, am I better than yesterday? Have I been a better version today than who I was yesterday? If the answer is yes, then I'm making progress. If the answer is no, then I need to learn from the experience. And either way, I'm going to learn. Either way, I'm going to learn from the experience. Because everyone has shit to deal with. So you can't compare your challenges with somebody else's success. And that's the shit that we do subconsciously. We look at Instagram, we look at Facebook, we look at all these publications, and we compare their success with our challenges. We compare our shitty choices with probably a lifetime of choices they had in the past. So we have to start asking ourselves, am I playing the game of comparison? Am I playing a game that I'm not going to win? So that's when you fall into this trap of becoming a victim. That's the moment that you start feeding that victim mentality and you fall into the trap of never finding a solution for your problems. Number two is doubting your value. Every single time that you doubt your value, every single time that you second guess yourself, you're losing certainty. You're exuding fear. So we all do this. We all doubt, is what I do valuable? And we always constantly are looking for validation. So in order for us to avoid doubting our value, we need to start basing our value based on what other people think. If you base your value based on what others think of you, you're fucked. If you base your value based on what people say, you're fucked. You have to own your value. Yes, ask for feedback. You want to get feedback so you can improve your service, you can improve your value, you can improve your business. But remember, you are the one who chooses how to take that feedback and turn it into fuel. Most people get that feedback and they think it's criticism. They take that feedback and they think, well, I'm not good enough, or my value is not there, or I can never get it right. Now is not the time for you to start doubting your value. Now is the time for you to double down and increase your value. Increase your value by asking for feedback so you can see how can you do it better? How can you make it faster? How can you make it even more efficient? But don't doubt your value. Don't doubt why you do what you do. And number three is trying to please everyone. The moment that you try to please everyone, you're gonna start bending, because it is impossible to please everyone. But even if you do, you most likely will end up not pleasing yourself. Even if you do end up making everyone happy, eventually you're gonna be miserable, because when you bend for others, you will blame them for the choices that you made. And that's what happens when you start blaming, when you start trying to please other people, you blame them afterwards because now you're not happy. And the truth is that you try to please everyone. That's the reason you're not happy. And because you try to please your clients, you're trying to please your family, you're trying to please everyone around you, you forgot to feed the king. That's the most important aspect of building a kingdom, is you have to feed the king first. You have to look at, how can I find joy and fulfillment in what I do so I could bring joy and fulfillment to others. It doesn't work the other way around. If your wife is happy, if your clients are happy, if your kids are happy, your friends are happy, and you're miserable, you're fucking lost. You have to learn how to feed yourself first, and then you exude that joy and fulfillment and love to other people. It comes from the inside out, not from the outside in. And number four is let go of the pride, because letting the pride rob you from asking for help is going to stop you from getting to the next level. Don't let your pride rob you from asking for help. Don't let your ego rob you from raising your hand and saying, I don't have an answer. Humility kills the victim mentality when you own your shit. What this crisis is doing is humbling ourselves. This crisis is actually exposing our weaknesses so we can humble ourselves and ask ourselves, is it what I'm doing the right path, or do I have uncertainty and I need to raise my hand and ask for help? I've said many times, the moment that you think that you're going to do this on your own and you refuse to ask for help, you're going to lose. The biggest things that I've done is I'm constantly looking for mentors, constantly looking for insights, constantly looking for help. I'm not too proud to say, I don't know where I'm going. I'm not too proud to say I'm lost. I'm not too proud to ask for directions. That's the reason that I've gotten where I am, because I'm constantly a student of the game. I just recently signed up for another coaching program that I've paid, 3 times as I played before, because I wanna learn from the best. And every single time I'm investing in myself so I can make sure that I'm in the top of my game. But I'm not too proud to ask for help, because even when you know what you're doing, even when you're at your best, you're always going to need that extra mile, that extra millimeter shift to help you go to the next level. And number 5, which is probably the biggest one right now that I need to make sure that you embrace, is don't be a savior unless you want to be crucified. And that's been repeated many times. The savior gets crucified. Because being a savior feels good, but eventually you will become the victim when you don't get the credit you think you deserve. That's what happens all the time. You try to save people, and in your mind you justify it because you think it's going to make you feel good. You justify because you think you're doing something good. But at the end you have to check yourself. Am I doing this to save them, or am I doing this to lead them? Because at the end of the day, leading people is what creates change. Saving people is going to get you crucified. What I mean by saving people is giving something to somebody, expecting them to be better with who you already know who they are. There's a lot of people in here, we have the savior mentality and we want to save people, and at 99.9% it always comes back to us. And we betrayed that inner voice, we betrayed ourselves, and we try to become the savior instead of being the leader. And saving people actually hurt them, and you hurt yourself, because it's a 0-win mentality. See, being a leader in times like this will require you to be more aware of the victim energy that can be more contagious than the virus. Because right now is the moment that you start really looking at the energy that people have. We go from fear, and now we go to hate. We go from fear to anxiety. We go from fear to now I want somebody to pay for this. I want somebody to pay for my business. I want somebody to pay for my marriage. I want somebody to pay for why I'm in this situation. And we don't take ownership of ourselves. And the victim mentality is more contagious, because the moment that you get around other people, that victim mentality, then you're going to start saying, yeah, that one is his fault, it's her fault. And that stops you from actually looking deep inside yourself and asking yourself, what can I do to get out of this crisis? What can I do to get better? So you need to make a daily choice to lead. Leadership is a choice. The victim mentality is going to happen when you have a lower vibration. The victim mentality is going to happen when you give away your choices. The victim mentality is going to happen when you give away your freedom. I say you're still free to choose. Am I going to lead, or am I going to complain? Am I going to lead, or am I going to play the victim? Am I going to lead, or am I going to find a solution? Because in times like this is when you level up and become the leader. And you need to be more intentional about your choices. Every choice that you make, every time that you catch yourself being a victim, every single time that you catch yourself playing the victim, then you have to shift and make the intention to shift and make the right choice to become the leader. Because leading is not always the most popular thing to do. The easiest thing is to play the victim. The easiest thing is to blame somebody else. The hardest thing is for you to take leadership and ownership. And even though it's not your fault, even though right now things may be out of your control, you have to own your shit, because the only way to find a solution is to have 100% ownership of where you are. But it's the only choice that will help you find the path in the middle of the storm. There's zero upside of being a victim. The only way you're going to have a chance to find this path in the middle of the storm is by leading. And this moment, every day, you're either creating or you're reacting to life. And your job is to fucking create. You are a co-creator with God. You're a co-creator with the universe. You're a co-creator with the infinite intelligence. Now it's time for you to act like a co-creator. Take ownership of where you are. Don't play the victim mentality. Don't fall into the gap. Don't fall into the traps of the victim mentality. Take ownerships and do the shit that you were born to do. Because every day you need to remember that you were made for times like this. You are a leader and you are a creator. Now it's time for you to tap into that inner voice inside of you and create some epic shit. Because there's going to be tons of opportunities out there. And the world needs leaders like you to step out their game and fucking lead. If you like this podcast, send me a text from a community platform at 203-405-9199 for exclusive content and direct access to me so I can take your life to the next level. That's 203-405-9199. Send me a text now.